Good morning, everyone. My name is Addie, and this is our friend Matthew. Matthew here has a successful business. He's been showing me around. He owns a frozen yogurt business here in the United States.
I do.
You do, and it's very successful from what I understand.
We're doing pretty good.
So successful, in fact, that I hear you've actually outsourced to other countries.
Yeah, we've expanded into Brazil, primarily in Brazil, but some other countries as well.
We would like to ask you a few questions about that. We're doing a project. We want to understand more about business negotiations in Brazil. And so I would like to ask you, what was your first impression when you stepped off the airplane and entered the great country of Brazil?
Wow. The Brazilians are incredibly enthusiastic, fun, genuine, nice, warm people. You know, culturally, they're just such fun and exciting people. So I was really I was pleased by that. It was fun to do business with them.
A very warm welcoming then.
Yep.
So how is the business professional in Brazil? How should you look? How should you dress up, basically?
The Brazilians, they pride themselves a lot in their dress, and so they'll dress really formally a lot of the time for business. Men should wear conservative colors, a suit usually with a conservative tie. Women should wear formal dress. And if you're ever wondering, you know, you're going to a social event or something and you don't know, just err on the side of more formal and you'll be safe.
Did you do a lot of your negotiations through Skype or through email, or is it mostly through face-to-face communication?
We tried initially to do some business just through email, and it didn't really progress anywhere. And so I think culturally the Brazilians are very relationship-based people. They enjoy face-to-face negotiations and business.
Okay. Now, a typical negotiation here in the United States, as I understand it, it's very direct, it's to the point. Is it the same in Brazil, or is it a little different?
Again, they are just all about relationships, and so if you can develop trust with a Brazilian, you can do business with a Brazilian.
Okay. I've heard some other stories, things such as negotiations going south because someone new entered the team. Oh, do you know what that's about?
Yeah. So negotiations with Brazilian business, they are more interested in the individual they're doing business with than the company that they're doing business with.
Okay.
And so again, that relationship is really important. And if you bring new people into the negotiations, you might have to start all over because they don't know that person.
Okay.
Right? And so you usually want to stick with the same team that you start with.
What about I've heard some stories about businessmen who go to Brazil and they're just ready, they got everything gone, they got like one day in Brazil and then they show up and things are so relaxed that they don't have enough time to get everything done. Have you come across, what's your best advice for that?
Yeah, the negotiations can take longer than Americans are used to. So typically when I go there, I'll schedule multiple days, you know, a trip of several days. And that's just, their concept of time is a little different than ours.
Okay.
So.
It's a little more relaxed in the meetings because once again, you said it's all about relationships, so I'm assuming that they're going to focus on that and then negotiations come second.
Exactly. Yep.
So when you go to Brazil, do you bring your own lawyer with negotiations, or is it better just to use the local people?
Definitely better to always use local accountants and lawyers when you're doing business with the Brazilians. They're familiar with it, and it's something that they can trust.
And once again, it shows that trust that you have for them. Excellent, thank you. Now, I do love my food, so how are the meals in Brazil?
The food is fantastic, and mealtime, especially lunches, business-wise, it's an important time to establish that relationship of trust. That's so essential for Brazilian business. And so oftentimes you'll sit down and you'll talk about your family, you'll get to know each other, and that becomes time to establish that relationship of trust. But the food, you'll love the food, it's amazing.
One time I was working with some friends that I have down in Brazil, and it was February, and it was just impossible to get a hold of them. And I've heard that February, as a business month, is probably just not a good idea. Can you explain that to us, please?
February is the month of Carnival for Brazil, which is a huge holiday. And so Brazilians, they hold their holidays sacred. You don't want to be going to Brazil during February or during any other holidays because that's time to be with family. And so you can't expect to get any business done during those holidays.
Any last tips you have? Any last suggestions?
One thing that I've noticed is When referring to citizens of the United States, you should refer to them as North Americans or from the United States. Don't say Americans, because Brazilians, they pride themselves in the fact that they are also Americans, and so...
Oh, because they're from South America.
South America.
Of course.
Right, so it's just important to not use that term unless you want to include them.
Okay, thank you. Excellent. Well, thank you, Matthew, for taking time out of your busy schedule.
You're welcome.
I know you're a busy man, so we really appreciate it. And from what I've gained from this experience, I've learned that always just dress professionally and be very friendly and open and just follow their lead in any social norms, and you'll do great in Brazil.
That's it.
It's all about relationships.
You're
it's all
ready to
about
go.
friendships. All right, here I go. I'm going to go open up a business in Brazil. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right.